Well, hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut here with Bobby Atkins, and this is the Veterans Edition of Real Estate Jerky.
How you doing, Ed?
Doing good.
Excellent.
What's going on? I had a gentleman on Helping the Brave yesterday that talked about, he was a B-2 bomber. He was the navigator, and he talked about his whole, time when he was in. He wrote a book. And the book is pretty good, and we're going to do some stuff together. But what's amazing is you forget about people who first went to the first Iraq war, right? Everybody's focused on the people after that, 9/11 and that kind of stuff. But it's important to all these to look back at all that stuff.
Well, I'm going to say, I was going to ask how long ago he was in, man, because
91.
91. So they're still flying B-2s back then, huh?
Yeah, from 4 different bases.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was in what's that? San Diego Garcia.
Oh,
they flew also out of England. They flew also out of Saudi Arabia, and then they flew one out of somewhere else. So there was 4 different bases that they flew out of. And I was like, was that just to mess them up, not know where they're coming? He goes, no, that was the vapor trails that they would see from the B-2 bombers that you come out at a certain depth. And he's like, just to mess with them. He goes, I think it was a psychops, so they could see that coming.
Yeah.
They know. I was like, that's a little different.
Yeah.
But he had no issues, and then 16 years later he started having night terrors and other stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So he has PTSD, and he fought it for 16 years and finally got help, and he was talking about that, and he wants to make sure every veteran gets help.
Awesome.
And that's so I'm going to put together a whole website for Helping the Brave, and we'll have the Helping the Brave podcast as part of it, but for people to know where to go to get help for everything. And that comes from VA home loans, VA help with buying properties, all that kind of stuff. Because some of these internet-based companies, and I'm not going to say names, act like they help the veteran when in reality, they actually, because of what they're charging, they're actually taking advantage.
Gotcha.
So just be careful. And I don't want to be sued by that. That's just what I have actual CDs and LEs from these companies that I keep in a little folder. So that way, if somebody comes after me, I can go, see, this is how I know it. Okay. I have it right here. And if you look at any of them when they advertise on TV, you'll see the small disclosure print. Pause it, because it says, like, with 2-point costs with this. I don't normally do 2-point costs for vets. You don't need to, right? If you're getting money from the seller or something else and you're buying the rate down, then do it. But just in general, no, won't do that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm done with my little soapbox.
No, yeah. Well, I can say, talk more about what you were telling me off camera about Helping the Brave. How many views you guys had on that show?
Yeah, so we've actually, I started doing a lot of cutting up our stuff, even in with you. I forget to tag you, sorry. And it seems like it's like all of a sudden I've been getting a lot of views more. And Helping the Brave, we had the most people. We probably had 300 to 500% more people watching it yesterday than we normally have.
That's excellent.
And we had 6,700 impressions, which is a pretty good number of impressions.
Yeah,
from a lone guy in Modesto, California.
Yeah. I was talking to a good buddy of mine that I was in a squadron with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked, man, for like 2 hours. We hadn't talked in a few years, so we're playing a lot of catch up. But then I was like, man, you should come on the podcast, or we should do a podcast where we just sit there and just kind of banter, man, talking about like our time in the service and what we did.
And that's why I do Helping the Brave. So I talk about the transition and all that stuff. And that's kind of what it is. It's just talking about what happened when you were in, when you got out, what was going on, what are you doing now? And, it's all different stories. And so I think that a lot of people like that. So feel free you can always guest host anytime you want, Bobby.
Like I say, I got at least 2 guys I could think of, man, that, I mean, we were thick as thieves. And
I'm just saying, you can have them sign up and you can co-host, and you can, because we used to have 4 hosts each episode, and then that's down to just 2.
Yeah.
And the reason we used to have that is because not every time can everybody be on. And it's nice to have a different variety, and then also different questions from different people.
Yeah.
So feel free to always, it's Wednesdays at 3:30 Pacific every week.
Okay. I'll reach out to them. One's in Texas and one's
well, I have a link through Calendly that you can send them. They can sign up, because we're actually booked out until October something.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is great, because for a while there, we were doing it twice a week, and that was a little bit harder. Now it's better once a week. And then what I do is you're on, and then 2 weeks later, that one goes up to the podcast, to where everybody can hear it. But I did one, the guy yesterday, we told him afterwards we were live. He goes, Thank goodness you didn't tell me, because I would have been nervous. We tell everybody, but people don't really think about it.
There's no dump button on this one, bud.
Well, yeah, he's like, he wrote his book, and I told him how I listened on Audible, and you can fast forward. He didn't understand that you could do that, and he had a great voice. I said, you need to do your own Audible and get it done.
Yeah.
So people will actually listen to your book, because more people listen than read these days.
Yeah.
But let's talk about loans. So nothing major changed in the loan business for vets in the last, week or so, and in the last year. They're helping people over in Hawaii if they have issues, like your house is burned down, and reach out to them. They'll work it through that with your lender and everything else to get that rebuilt and other stuff. But overall, everything's pretty much the same. But I think people forget how easy VA loans are. And you don't have to have perfect credit for it. If you go to TikTok at all, you always have these people like, you think you have to have perfect credit? Not at this company, not at any company. All right. It's just one of those. A VA loan is VA is the one that guarantees it. It's their guidelines. If it's stricter than their guidelines, that's a lender loan, that's LLPA, they call it, loan, that they add on. That's their own. But most people don't have that anymore.
Gotcha.
Banks somewhat do, and I'm not knocking banks. They just look at things differently than other people. You're better off going through a mortgage broker, a lender, those type of people, not an institutional bank, because they don't have true loan officers like they used to have. They used to have some of the greatest loan officers back in 2008, and then they all left because the banks didn't want to pay them.
Gotcha.
Full commission and all the stuff they used to.
They just wanted them just.
They were order
salary.
takers. They were order takers. They were, you have to get approved through our people, and they would just take orders all day long. And so they'd be like, we're not going to pay that much to you.
Yeah.
Here's your hourly wage and a little spiff on top.
So, we're always trying to come up with something new, some new scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a client. We recently sold their house, but they want to buy a manufactured home, because they want to try and pay cash, right? We want to try and find some land with some utilities.
Are they trying to just have a manufactured home on a regular foundation, or what are they trying to put one on there?
Well, yeah. So we haven't had that discussion yet. I know that obviously it's real property once it's on a permanent foundation,
right?
But say they needed some additional funding, right? I know there's like minimum loan limits, right? For you guys, is there a minimum loan limit for VA?
The issue is when the government got involved and said, okay, from here, because of what happened in 2008, they put in this QM issue, which means they have to pass the QM. And bear with me right now, it's early on Thursday and I had Rotary, so I'm not as sharp as I normally am. And basically what happens is, with the max fees that we can charge, right, it goes off the purchase, and this runs into how low the loan amount versus purchase. So the title report doesn't go off the loan amount, it goes off of the purchase price. All that stuff is off the purchase price, not the loan amount. We're normally, and the issue is the fact that it doesn't pass that QM because the costs exceed that percentage when it's a lower loan amount.
Okay.
All right. And so the lower loan amounts, you can go up to 3% on these costs and all this stuff, and actually up to 5%. But the problem is 5% on 100,000 is $5,000. 3% on 150,000 is what? Almost 5,000. It's 4,500 or whatever. So it's just easier to pass that when it's a larger loan amount. I tell people, go get a HELOC. If you have 30,000, if we're talking about that they're short, go get an equity line of credit.
Yeah.
But you run into issues on manufactured home that you didn't run into before because of insurance and other stuff that you have to really look at.
Yeah. Because what I'm looking at is the scenario is like, okay, so you can buy, because people are thinking like, frugal ways to really kind of respend the money from their investment on their traditional home, right? They want to downsize. They'd like a small plot of land out in the country, so it's kind of peaceful. But if they don't have enough money, for cash, so obviously we're gonna have to finance some of it.
Right. And you can always take a larger loan amount up front, make 6 payments, and then pay it down and have a recast.
Yeah. And now, why is it the 6 payments? I know you've told me, but
because if they do it earlier than that, then whoever originates it all the way through the system has an early EPO, early payoff, and then they pay a fee for that.
So the lender gets dinged.
They get dinged. Yeah. It's just like, who wants to loan money that you make your money long term on? You have 6 payments that's to get their money back from them buying the loan.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need, it's the same thing. So if you have a client who didn't make the 6th payment, you have to buy that loan back. It's just the first 6 payments. We say that, and that's just the way it is. VA and FHA, you can't do a recasting on.
And
just so you know, only conventional.
Okay.
So you'd have to do a refinance on the other two.
Okay.
But if they do a regular conventional, no big deal.
Now with VA, can you purchase just raw land?
No. You have to do a construction loan to do the land and the whatever you're going to put on there at the same time.
Gotcha.
So you can do it, but you have to do it all at once. But the problem you run into is that whoever's selling the land, it takes, overall to get everything done could take 90 days to 6 months, depending on who's doing it and how slow they are.
Yeah.
But that's just, and so there are some places you can do land loans, but they want 50% down.
Yeah.
Or other places, it just depends on if you have to make sure you're going to do it within 5 years. Or what I tell people to do is just do it with the seller, to have the seller carry for the first, till you get everything in line. And they'll usually do that because they're not going to make any money. Well, they'll make 5% now on T-bills. But CDs are a whole year. You got to lock it up and, and that adjusts up or down. Where if you go, okay, well, I'm going to do the loan, and for the next 5 years, you got 5 years to do this, I'm going to make 6% interest on my money, which I can, guaranteed.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay on it and you don't do anything, I get the property back.
Yeah.
Plus the money you put down.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good rate of return, man.
Well, it's a great rate. I mean,
yeah.
You can even say 7% because land loans are probably higher than that. Way higher than that, because somebody else was looking for some place to compete. And I was look at the thread on all the different groups that has to deal with what we deal with. Yeah. And the guy's like, well, this company will do it, but they're like 11%. Yeah, it's like hard money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, but you got to think about it. 50,000 at 12% is not really that much money.
Now
right. That's what I'm saying. It's not that big. The difference between 8 and 12 on $50,000 is probably $30. You follow me? So yeah, but it's when it's 500,000, it makes a huge difference.
Okay. So now you can purchase a modular home as long as it's on a permanent foundation, right?
Back it up. You said the word modular.
Or sorry, manufactured.
So it's two separate things. We talked about this before. A modular home is a regular stick-built house, right? That you see them build out on but it's built in a factory and comes out in pieces, and then they put it together, right? Everything's cut up, ready to go. They send out, sections, and they put those together. A manufactured home is a mobile home. The new term for mobile home as of June of 76, because HUD came in and said, all right, the stuff before this is all crap, and this is our new standards.
Yeah.
The number one thing, it has to come out on a chassis. That means there's wheels attached to it when they bring it out. Semis bring out each section.
Yeah. I was going to say, hey, if for anyone out there that gets confused, don't feel bad, because I do this for a living and I still have to stop
Everybody says the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And then everybody hates it when I correct them, because I had Todd Sue is like the largest manufacturing person, and I was explaining to him about loan, because he's like, no, you can't get a loan on that. Yes, you can. I deal with it all, but I'm a big, I understand that, but you're not on that side of it. That's your wife's side of it. You know what I mean? So
I don't know who that is, but
he was on a few of our shows. He's the large, if you ever need a manufactured home, he's the largest dealer in California.
Gotcha.
And he is like the best one to go through, is what I'm getting at.
Gotcha.
You can, so if you want to do this, I would tell you I would send you to him.
Where's he out of?
San Jose.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah. Great guy. His wife's really good too. So if you ever have somebody who's in a park and they need to buy the place and they need financing, they have financing, which nobody else really has. But again, as everybody says, but the rates are like 10%. Well, that's how that is. It's a risky product.
Yeah.
Because you can back it up with a freaking truck and pull that thing away if it still have wheels underneath it.
Yeah. The first time I sold a mobile home, I realized that, it has registration.
Yeah. Until it's on a permanent foundation, you still pay fees and everything through the DMV.
Yeah.
Because I did I was talking about it before on one of these, and I cut it up on TikTok, and I'm at 707,000 views on it right now. Nice. And people are like, oh, I still pay taxes on it when it's not. Okay, no, you pay fees. There's a difference between taxes and fees. There's property tax, and then there's DMV fees.
Yeah.
Once you put it on a permanent foundation, then you actually have to pay property tax on the whole thing.
Yeah. Now you said something, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about keeping manufactured home off a permanent foundation till you go to sell it. How much do you think someone would save annually?
Well, it just depends. It's going to depend on the situation and how long. The reason I'm saying that is because I had a guy who did that, and I was like, I can't get you a loan. And why are you doing that? Because at the time I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, you're stupid. Why are you not doing? Because you can't sell it. Well, then I realized you can always put a permanent foundation underneath it at any time. The only time that comes into play when you can't do that is if you can't move it from John's house to Sally's house and then put on a permanent foundation. They don't want any of those that move. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Nobody knows it moved unless they look underneath the house. I don't know where they mark it or whatever, but only the appraiser can know, that it's moved. And I've never had one called out. Actually, I take it back. I had one called out and they couldn't get a loan done. And I'm like, how did anybody know that this moved? Oh, so-and-so in an office said so-and-so to some, you know what I mean? So it was all hearsay. There was and so we went through, no problem, got a loan on it because we had no idea that it actually had been moved. Nobody knew that. It was like a statement.
Gotcha.
Follow me?
Yeah. Not a fact.
Yeah, exactly. It's like hearsay, like in the courts. That's why they can't use it.
Yeah.
Unless it's a political thing and they're coming after you.
In that case, any accusation, all of a sudden
you're guilty. It's like the military now. You're guilty before you're innocent. Right. And when we're guilty. If we do something stupid, it's not you're innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty until proven innocent. And now that's how this world is.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want it to be like the UCMJ, man.
No, that was horrible.
Yeah.
All right. So the people that are looking to do a manufacturer, they're not doing it VA, right?
No, I mean, they have cash, but I think they might be short by, say like 80 grand.
Right. Well, then get a HELOC or do the 120 and do what they can. So is there a manufactured home on this land they already found, or they wanted to put one on there?
No, this is just kind of their plan. So they sold the home, they bought a travel trailer, and they're going to travel the US and enjoy, their retirement years and enjoy.
Well, they just buy a piece of property and park their RV on it and live out of the RV.
Well, we haven't gotten into that discussion.
I'm just saying, because you can get right now, a lot of lots are coming up, especially in Tuolumne County. People have had them for years and years and years, and now they're selling them because they're not going to build because it's too expensive for them because they've had it forever.
Yeah. Well, so the one thing I want to look into though is to find something that already has utilities, right? Because
you want to find a property that has a really horrible mobile home that's been on there forever that needs to be pulled off there, because they'll have utilities, it'll have a septic, it'll have a leach field, all that stuff already there.
Yeah,
that's what you want to find. Or you want to find a lot that has, but you got to be careful. Certain lots might have more restriction where you can't do certain things. Are you following me?
Yeah,
that might have water, but you can't put a mobile home in there unless it's on a permit. There are those restrictions.
Yeah,
everything is not when I say something, it's not 100% because somebody in a different county can make a totally different thing than somewhere else.
Oh yeah, no, I found that out in LaGrange. I had a transaction where we bought 10 acres of land up there, and then they financed it all through the mobile home manufacturer with the purchase and the land and the utilities, and it was a hot mess. It took like 6 months.
No, that's normal.
But I mean, you have to have it. That luckily they didn't have to have an engineered septic system.
Oh, that part of it,
yeah.
Before you buy the thing, have a surveyor come out and or a septic company to have it, site and soil done to see how bad it's going to be. That's like $2,000, and you're going to see where you're going to have to put it. Engineered septic can be up to $50,000.
Yeah, and they did the perk test and everything went fine. So they said just have a regular septic. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
And then there was an issue, or there wasn't an issue?
No issue. No, it was just as far as like scheduling things out, getting things done.
Well, because when was this? 2 years ago, probably?
No. This was 5 years ago.
Okay.
And getting PG&ing out just to run a pole. And
poles are expensive too. Every pole's like $30,000.
Yeah.
And you gotta schedule them out almost a year in advance. Yeah. At least 6 months.
Yeah, they got out there in 3.
That was good.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying they can be out a long time.
Yeah.
And that's like it's like telling us, are you going to start building? You might want to get with PG&E and get the pool out there. Well, the problem is we needed at least 3 pools.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because where we're going to put our house versus where it is from the road, Yeah. Closest pool is like 150, 300 feet away. You know what I mean? It's not like right there.
So they won't underground it now?
Well, when you're on a lava cap, it's really hard to underground that stuff. Yeah, take a lot of dynamite.
Okay.
Diamond tip saw. You know what I mean? Who knows what it would take, but it would take a lot. So there's a lot of stuff. And if you can do this manufactured home buy the land and all that with the manufactured home. We can do that with a VA purchase also with this. It's a VA's construction loan. You can do it all. It's just the costs and the whole thing. That's why manufactured home or actual modular, which is single that's built in a factory, those two things would probably be better than having somebody build it on site, because on site just is so expensive and you have to deal with weather and other stuff.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to get some numbers together for them so that they know exactly how much to set aside. But I was thinking, say they have to finance a part of it, right? If you were to put it into a park, which is something they want to avoid, you'd still have monthly space rent.
Yeah,
and then you don't own the land, and then
right.
Obviously financing is totally different.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's not real property. It's a, then again, it's just personal property. You want to own the land and then put that on there on a permanent foundation, so it's all together.
Yeah.
And what I was talking about is people who want to save money. It's not about if you want to do it right and have it, pay taxes on it. But I had a pre-interview with Betsy Hirsch Younger, who's up there, who does a lot of this stuff. And I was asking her, because we had her put a permanent foundation underneath hers. And I said, did the value, did they come out and reassess it and tax? She goes, no, they didn't. I go, that's weird, right? Because it was already there.
Yeah.
But the question, they weren't taxing it at that value. They might have said that's personal property on, you know what I mean? They might have just moved it over as it was a certain dollar amount already there.
Gotcha.
Just check into it. But what you can do though is when you go to sell it, it's going to be worth so much more. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it could be $100,000 difference.
And it's going to allow more people to purchase it. It's not going to be someone who's doing, a high interest loan, can go FHA or VA.
Right. FHA, VA, conventional. The best way to go is VA or conventional.
Yeah.
And the reason is FHA needs engineered cert where the other two do not.
Huh. Good to know.
Because VA wants to make sure that the actual foundation underneath it has an engineered cert. And the problem is when people put it in, they get one, but then they throw it away. They don't keep it. So if you ever have one and you're putting it in from the beginning, I would just tell people, put this in a safe deposit box, put it somewhere so that if you go to refinance it or sell it, you have it and you don't need it again.
Good to know.
Yeah. So I've done a couple of those. I didn't want to be a specialist on modular manufactured homes on a permanent foundation, but it just worked out. When you do a lot up in Tuolumne County, I'd say about 35% of them is that.
I bet, man. Yeah.
And they're just very unique properties that pop up all the time, which are a challenge, but I've gotten a lot done. But I've helped, I've gone to where the escrow company and the title company worked with me to change certain things to make it what it should be.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's a great place. I mean, cheap. And right now, if you take any of your client up there, it's the opportunity bubble still up there.
Yeah.
Remember the opportunity bubble where you could work with the sellers and they'll give you money towards closing costs and help you with buying your rate down or whatever you want. That's still happening up there.
Up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't mind the drive, go up there.
There was also one that just recently came up. It was a REO property, man.
Where?
Up in Tuolumne.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Bidding started at 180, man.
What did it go for?
I didn't keep an eye on it, but I imagine.
Where was it at? Where REO through what?
I don't know.
Not the courthouse steps.
No. Yeah. It was an online bidding. I didn't look
Auction.com probably.
I didn't look too much into it. An agent that I just closed the transaction with had that come up, so she let me know about it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everybody. We really appreciate you. If you have any questions about VA loans or VA purchases, reach out to Bobby or myself. You can find us through Facebook. Just message us, or you can get a hold of me. I'm at Parcaut everywhere, and Bobby's phone number is 209-550-106. I'm sorry, 1087. 1087. 209-550-1087. I need to go to bed. I'm just kidding. I got a lot of work today. All right.
Thanks.
Anything, Bobby, you want to add before we go?
No, that's it,
man.
All
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make it a great day. We'll talk to you next week.